Hello everybody, I'm Sherry with the CGH Health Foundation and welcome to another easy healthy recipe from our What's Cooking CGH video series. I don't know if any of you remember those wilted spinach salads from the 60s and the 70s where you poured a bacon fat kind of dressing over them with vinegar, kind of a sweet and sour kind of thing. Well, I'm going to make a version of a wilted salad today, but a much healthier recipe for that. And before I start cooking, I wanted to talk a little bit about dark leafy greens because I think they're so important for us to eat as many greens as possible. They're so healthy for us. They're loaded with vitamins, and surprisingly, and not many people realize this, but greens like spinach and kale actually contain quite a bit of protein. And in fact, for the baby spinach I'm using today, the percent of calories from protein is higher than the percent of calories from carbohydrate in the spinach. Other surprising nutrition for greens that are a really good source of vitamin C. We don't tend to think of them that way. Calcium as well. So there's a great nutrition. I try to have greens every day in one form or another. And salads is the most obvious way to eat them, of course, but sometimes we get tired of salads. So think about throwing a leaf of lettuce on your sandwich, even using lettuce instead of bread for your sandwiches. You can chop up greens and add them to soups and to casseroles. Another great way to get some greens is to throw them into smoothies. If you use baby spinach in a smoothie, you're hardly going to taste it at all. It's practically flavorless. And then today, or another way that I like to do them is just to saute them with a little garlic and olive oil. This recipe is called a salad, but I think you could just serve it as a side dish. And for those of you who say that you can't cook, or that the only thing you can do is boil water, well, you're going to be lucky today because that is the only cooking required in this recipe, and that is boiling water. So I'm starting off with baby spinach, and I have washed my spinach and I've got it in a colander or a strainer, and I'm just going to sit it right inside another bowl, okay? And speaking of spinach, I wanted to show you the spinach because it is so beautiful. The farmers market in our town has a new business that they are growing hydroponic greens, and you would not believe the difference between what you get there and what you find in the supermarket. So by all means, get yourself down to our local farmers market on Saturday morning and check out the offering there. They have spinach, kale, several different kinds of lettuce, bok choy, herbs, arugula. They've got a really good selection and it tastes wonderful. So I highly recommend the greens from the local farmers market. So I have maybe 4 or 5 cups of baby spinach in here. And all that I'm going to do is to pour boiling water over the spinach. I like to use my little electric kettle here, and I did just boil the water. You could absolutely boil a pot of water and throw the spinach in there, but then you gotta dig it all out of the boiling water. And the other thing is that I love my little electric kettle because it comes to a full boil in about 4 minutes as opposed to boiling a pot of water. And so, like I said, I've got the spinach in a strainer or a colander sitting inside a larger bowl, and I'm just gonna pour the hot water over the spinach. Probably got about 6 cups of hot water. So it is going to wilt the spinach as I pour it over. And then I'm going to use my tongs to kind of stir it around a bit to make sure that all of the spinach comes in contact with that really hot boiling water. And you can smell it and you can see it wilting. It happens almost instantaneously. And there you go. I don't know how long that took, less than a minute, I'm sure. And all of that spinach has wilted down to less than half of its original volume. So another advantage to doing it today, I can just lift the whole amount out of here. I'm gonna drain it just a bit. And I'm gonna set it down here on this tea towel and let it drain a bit more. I'm gonna empty this water. Okay, and to finish the recipe, I'm going to put the spinach back into this big bowl and just add a couple more ingredients. So this is an Asian flavored, it's called Japanese spinach salad. And so like most salads, it's going to have oil and vinegar, right? And so I have some rice vinegar. You can easily find this in the Oriental food section at your grocery store. And I'm just going to do a tablespoon of the vinegar onto the spinach leaves. And let's give that a little toss around. Just enough to flavor them. It's not a whole lot. And then let me put these on a plate. I would actually call this 2 servings. It wilts down. Or 1 serving. The whole recipe has about 100 calories. So you could definitely eat the whole thing yourself. And then the oil part is a sesame oil, okay? And sesame oil is intensely flavored. You don't need very much of it. And that's another good thing about this recipe. And it's just going to be maybe a teaspoon or even less. Sesame oil is perishable, and so I keep my sesame oil in the refrigerator for that reason. And I'm just going to drizzle that oil over the top of the spinach. And as a final accompaniment, I'm going to sprinkle on some sesame seeds. So one of the things or the nutrients that spinach has is calcium. And another great source of calcium for us women in particular, we need to keep eating enough calcium. Sesame seeds are also a great source of calcium. I buy the big container like this because I do a lot of cooking using Asian flavors. But if you didn't want to invest in a big container, I don't know if you realize it, but in your spice section at the grocery store, you can find these small shakers of sesame seeds too. So either one is fine. And just to make it a little prettier, let us sprinkle maybe a ½ teaspoon or so of sesame seeds on top. And there you go. You have a beautiful, easy, Asian-inspired spinach salad. You can see that. And let's give it a taste. That's really good. I'm going to try this sometime with apple cider vinegar and olive oil and some sliced almonds. So I think that would be really good too. But like I said, easy preparation, very healthy. And for this recipe, all of our videos you can find on the CGH YouTube channel, and you can get the link to there on the CGH website. I also have a blog, what'scookingcgh.com, and you can find all my recipes there, videos, plus my columns from the newspaper. So I hope you'll check that out and give this easy salad a try.